Congratulations, class of 2024. Go out into the world and be bad. Thank you to this very special university, to all the trustees, to my fellow recipients of this honor. I had to actually write a speech a couple of days ago because they needed to translate it. And I don't know how many of you know, but there was a very important general election in India where, and I had to write this before the results were declared, but anyway, the results did dent a fascist regime where Muslims and Christians have been murdered and incarcerated, dissidents have been put into prison, and brought us so close to what we in India thought could never happen to us, fascism. But in this very, very short address, I cannot and must not speak of anything else if I do not speak of Gaza. When we speak of Palestine, we must say these three words: apartheid, occupation, genocide. Israel is guilty of all three crimes, and none of them began on October 7th of last year. However hard the Western media tries to obfuscate these crimes by detailing the kidnappings and other crimes committed as well as not committed by Hamas, nobody can or should believe that there is a moral equivalence between committing genocide and deeds committed, however horrendous, in the process of resisting occupation and apartheid. Those who support Israel in its task are also complicit in Israel's crimes of genocide and illegal occupation. This includes my country. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is a close personal friend of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And while the US supports Israel with its wealth and its weapons, Israel supports it India supports it with what we possess in abundance, the unemployed poor. More than 6,000 Indian workers were recruited to work in Israel in place of Palestinians who were expelled. They are desperate enough to risk their lives in a war zone and their dignity in a relentlessly racist society. The Indian corporation owned by Modi's most favored industrialist, Gautam Adani, have also sent Hermes 900 drones capable of both surveillance as well as aerial bombardment to Israel. India was once a friend of Palestine. There was a time when our streets and universities would have erupted in rage against what is happening there. No longer. We have lost our moral compass, and I, as an Indian citizen, am deeply ashamed. Since I'm speaking to an audience of students in a country that has risked a lot to stand shoulder to shoulder with the people of Palestine, let's express our solidarity with people who have marched, as well as students and faculty on college campuses in the US and Europe, who have defied their governments and come out in their thousands to protest. We have watched armed police, sometimes on horseback, enter campuses to beat down the students. Not so long ago, police entered campuses in India too, when students protested against the government's anti-Muslim citizenship law. But in the US, we are seeing American police beat American students on behalf of Israel. Imagine a society in which universities, bloated with money from students' fees and huge infusions of capital from wealthy donors, corporations, and their foundations, function like little city-states investing in genocidal regimes and weapons manufacturers. Can there be anything more immoral than that? Palestine is illegally occupied, but it looks very much as though the US government is legally occupied by Israel, which seems to have first claim on its money, its weapons, its policies, and much of its imagination. Whatever the election results in India, we had a real opposition that is fundamentally opposed to fascism, to corporate capitalism, and to caste privilege. But look at the US. Despite being home to what people imagine are the best universities in the world, it's Ivy League, what choice do the American people have? A choice between two 80-year-old white men, both of whom support genocide, both of whom support apartheid, both of whom are openly racist. This is what capitalism does. It gives you choices that are not choices. The moral architecture of Western liberal democracies, which were never really moral, has been completely exposed even to their own citizenry. On the other hand, people who have stood up to them, Palestinians, Jews, blacks, whites, browns, people of every race, color, religion, and ethnicity, have saved the world and prevented all of us from being able to lazily become reverse racist or anti-Semitic. We live in difficult times. However hypocritical Western democracies have been in upholding their own values, those values in and of themselves are important. Authoritarian regimes that do not tolerate dissent, do not give citizens equal rights, do not see women as equals to men, that have medieval views on gender and sexuality, have come down on the right side of history as far as Gaza is concerned. But that does not excuse their authoritarianism. It does not excuse their crimes in their own countries against their own people. So it looks like the lot of us, students, writers, fighters, workers, human beings, have plenty of work to do. I will end by reading a small section from my very first political essay. It was called The End of Imagination, and I wrote it in 1998 when the Hindu right came to power and conducted a series of nuclear tests. So this section that I'm about to read is a section in which a friend of mine and I are talking about the meaning of success and failure, like we just spoke about. So this is just an extract. "You've lived too long in New York," I told her. "There are other worlds, other kinds of dreams, dreams in which failure is feasible, honorable, and sometimes even worth striving for. Worlds in which recognition is not the only barometer of brilliance or human worth. There are plenty of warriors that I know and love, people far more valuable than myself, who go to war every day knowing in advance that they will fail. True, they are less successful in the most vulgar sense of the word, but by no means less fulfilled. The only dream worth having," I told her, hey, this cap doesn't work for me. "The only dream worth having," I told her, "is to dream that you will live while you're alive and die only when you're dead." Which means exactly what? She asked me. I tried to explain, but didn't do a very good job of it, because sometimes I need to write to think. So I wrote it down for her on a paper napkin, and this is what I wrote. To love, to be loved, to never forget your own insignificance, to never get used to the unspeakable violence and the vulgar disparity of life around you, to seek joy in the saddest places, to pursue beauty to its lair, to never simplify what is complicated or complicate what is simple, to respect strength, never power, above all to watch, to try and understand, to never look away, and never never to forget. As a writer, this has been my manifesto. Thank you.